Looking for a hammock pattern and the instructions on how to do it? Watch today's video and I have you covered. I'm not exaggerating when I say how many times I have made and torn out the hammock that I'm getting ready to show you. I was unable to find a pattern or instructions on how to simply make a rope hammock, so I came up with my own design and in the process fell in love with it. So in fact, we have made several of these for our kids for Christmas and they turned out wonderful. So today's video is not going to be just an entertainment, look at how I did this. It is going to give you everything you need to know on how to make a hammock out of macrame cord. So let's get started. Step one. The materials and tools that you'll need. I use 3mm macrame cord. I buy it in rolls of 1,500 feet at a time off of Amazon. The link is down below. For today's project for the hammock, you're going to need roughly 1,100 feet of macrame cord. You will going to want to have a macrame stand. This is a stand that Ross built me. We have the video for that on our channel and the link is down below. When you put your stand up, this is almost a must. To be able to cut this many strings of macrame cord, you're going to want to have your spool be able to fully spin so that you can cut your cord. So we have the stand, we have your cord. You're going to need to have 2 rings, and these rings here I found at Home Depot. Make sure when you're looking for your rings that you make sure that they can hold some serious pounds. These are set for 200 pounds, so make sure you look at the rating on that. You're going to also need to have wooden closet rods. I'm using an 1.5 inch wooden rod. They're cut 48 inches long, but look at the diagram here on how you drill holes. The top and the bottom are the same, so measure out your holes and drill accordingly. Your drill bit, I use a 1/4 inch drill bit because it needs to be big enough to fit 2 strands of your macrame cord in it. So we're going to have 2 closet rods, the 2 rings, and 1,100 feet of cord, and let's get started. Okay, so to get started, you first need to cut 18 cords that are 30 feet long. So with these 30 feet cords, we put them all in the 2-inch ring that you are going to have on each end of your hammock. Fold your cord in half so that you can find the center point. Okay, so you just take your cord, put the folded end through your ring, and draw the tail through the loop. These cords will thread through your rod. Use a little floral wire is how you're going to feed your cords through these holes. So you just take your wire and bend it in half, stick it through the end there, and so what's going to happen is the first 2 cords will go in the first hole, the next 2 cords in the next, and all the way across the rod. So for this first one, I have found that you can only do 1 cord at a time. So I'm going to take 1 cord, put it in the wire, and pull back your cord. Put the wire back in that same hole and take the second one and pull it through the hole. And now you can pull them and just leave, you don't want to pull clear to the ring, pull down to where there's roughly 2 feet between your rod and your ring. So that's the first cord, or first set of cords. Now the second set of cords goes in the second hole. Now at this point, I have found it was easier for me to pop to the other side and do the same on this end of the rod and then fill in the middle. Now we need to even these sides up and secure the bottom of these with a knot. Then you can start your hammock pattern. So to do that, you need to take a tape measure and you need to measure roughly the same distance. And I have found 22 inches roughly from on this top cord, 22 inches to this edge on each side, and then you can fill in the middle. So just pull it up until you are at your distance. See, that's 24, so I need to go a little shorter. But what you need to do when you get to this point, you're going to need to do a square knot. So I'm going to show you how to do a square knot. So using the 4 cords that come through the first 2 holes, you have an outside left, an outside right, and 2 in the center. So you're going to make a square knot, there's 2 steps to it. It's a square knot like this. So the first step would be lay your left one over the 2 in the center, lay your right one over your left. So you went over 2, over 1. Now you take the right one and you put it underneath the 2 and come up in that first hoop, first little hole on the left side there. And you draw it up tight. But we're not going to draw it tight yet until we can get the measurement. To finish off the other side, you take your right one over the 2 in the center, your left one over it. Now your left one goes behind the 2 and up through that right loop. Okay, so we're going to draw that tight, but after I get the right measurement, we'll really put it into place. Okay, I have the cord now at 22 inches, and I've pulled up the first level of, or the first step of the square knot, and now I'll pull up the second step and make it nice and tight. So here's a square knot at the bottom here, so now that this won't fluctuate. Okay, I'm not going to do the measurement again, I'm just going to get it started. So we have the 4, we have our left cord, our 2 in the center, and our right cord. The left goes over the 2, the right goes over the 1. Come through your left circle there, left little opening, and that is step number 1. If you're confused on which one you do next, this cord comes out of the front of the knot and this cord comes out of the back. The one that goes out of the back is the side you do next. So we're going to do our right over the 2 in the center, our left over that one, and left goes behind both and through that center or that right loop, and then you can pull it up. But we're not going to pull it up tight till I make sure that this measures 22 inches from this to the ring. And right there it is, it's 22. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this nice and tight. And this one nice and tight. And there we go. Now you simply just adjust, since you have your outside cords, the distance that you want. We just pull these down nice and tight. And start making square knots. So I like to start on one side and move into the middle, and start on this side and move into the middle. So I'm just going to teeter-totter back and forth and a square knot there, and just keep adjusting these to have them be nice and tight all along. Okay, you can see the square knots on the bottom of each of these. I have just draped over the long cords over to the side so that they're out of the way. The next step is you're going to cut 18 more cords, but these ones are 28 feet long. These ones don't go through the holes, they're going to wrap around your rod. So again, find the center of your 28-foot long cord. Okay, and in between the sections of the holes that are drilled, put the loop end of your cord around the back of your rod and pull through the center. And you're going to put 2 of these cords in each section. Okay, and now add a second cord, and we're going to put a square knot on each of these as well. Okay, so you have 2 cords here. You'll put 2 in each of the sections across the rod, putting a square knot on the base of them. On each side of your hammock, I use the 4 cords and I braid the outside pieces. The middle is going to be a series of macrame square knots, but the outside is going to be braided. And here is a diagram from a book that I absolutely love. It's called the Pattern Book, but it shows you how to 4 braid. But we're going to 4 braid down this to 90 inches long and then just tie a temporary knot in the bottom of it. It will eventually go through the other rod, but for now we're going to braid it down and put a knot in the end. So I'm going to 4 braid. We're going to go outside, inside, under. So basically this cord here weaves over, under, over, over, under, over, over, under, over. And that will make a 4 braid all the way down. So do that on each end of your rod and just tie it in a temporary knot at about 90 inches long. Okay, so let me do a recap here. We have the 4 cords on the end are done in a braid. So we have 1 on each end. Through the holes, we have now put the square knots. We've wrapped 2 cords in between every section of holes. So we have 2 cords here with a square knot below. So what that means is we are ready to rock and roll and start making the actual hammock body. So for this stage, you're going to want to cut out of just a standard cardboard box strips of 2-inch tall cardboard. This corrugation runs this way, so it's nice and stiff. Because see, this bends, but if you run your corrugation that way, so just cut a couple strips 2 inches long, and I'll show you what we're going to do with, or 2 inches tall, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with those. But before we do that stage, we have one trick to make it super simple. So I showed you how to do the square knot. Now we're going to do alternating square knots. You're going to take the inside 2 of the first one and the inside 2 of the next one, and you're going to do a square knot. But to start with, you're just going to do the first step of that process. You're just going to do the left over, and you just let it hang like that. Then you're going to take the 2 remaining ones and the 2 from the one next to it and do the first step on that and let that hang. And so you're going to continue across and just do the first step, taking 2 from each of the cords. Okay, I have the first stage of the square knots all the way across, taking 2 from each one, and this is where your piece of cardboard comes into play. So we're going to thread it through the 2 center ones of the knot. Just slip it on top of that cardboard. So we're going to just slip it across the row here. Until you run out of cardboard, so that's pretty good. Now you just cinch up your square knot to where it's nice and tight, and finish the second step of the knot by taking the right over and drawing it under. So we're going to just finish now the square knot on each of these. And just to even it out, sometimes I like to go over to the end so it's not sagging. Then when you get that section of cardboard done, just slide out the cardboard, and now you have an even row of knots that are 2 inches from the row above. For row number 2, we're going to do the same method all the time. Do the stage 1, the step 1 of the knot all the way across, and put your cardboard in. But you need to start your row a little different. We have the 2 from the row above. wrap that on the outside of your braid before you do your knot using the two from the next section. So just take these two, go around the back and do your stage one, step one of the knot. And I'll go ahead and do the step one of the next two here and finish it off so you can see what it looks like. And I'll just slip in a short little 2-inch cardboard and put the center of the knot on the top of your cardboard. And now we can cinch it up tall. So now you're going against the bottom of that one to make sure that it stays an even 2-inch row. And then slide that out. So then this is what is going to happen the rest of the project. So you have these two, wrap around for the next row. Now we're going to do these two, wrap around for the next row, and you'll continue the project all the way down. Okay, I have the last bit of the macrame done, and I have it laying out on the floor. At this point, we need to attach the bottom closet rod to the end of the hammock. So I've measured along the side. Right now I'm sitting at 90 inches on each side. You need to use the floral wire again and start with the braided piece and just separate out the braided piece into two sections, and we're going to put 2 of the cords in each hole, and then we will put a square knot on the back side. Okay, I have that pulled through, and I want to keep it at 90 inches. So just even it up a little, there we go. And just do a square knot on the back side of the rod. And then these cords are going to go to the center to the next ring. So we'll do that on the next step. So repeat this on the other side and do the same with that braid. What you're going to do on the middle ones is every other one is going to go through the holes. So this one here is going to get wrapped around the pole. This next one is going to line up with these holes. So go ahead and feed those through the hole, again putting 2 cords through each of the holes. Okay, and even that up. That looks good. And tie a square knot on the back side of that one. Okay, so I am going to go every other one. This one's going to be a wrap, so this one goes through the holes. Okay, I moved this to a table so that it has a little bit better camera angle for you. So each of these, every other one is through the holes on the rod right now. So that leaves the center ones that have to get wrapped around the rod. And so I take out that knot because I need to get it nice and tight. So take out the knot on the every other one, the last knot there. Okay, so I have the knot removed. Wrap it around the rod and have the tail come up on the outside of each of them. So here's this one, wrap it around and come out on the outside. So at this point, you have the 2 sets of cords in the middle and the one on the outside. Pull it nice and tight and put a complete square knot. So now you have it's wrapped around, you have a complete square knot here. So I'll do that and then I'll show you how we are going to finish that off and hide those tails. So let me do that one more time. Here's this. We're going to take out the knot, wrap it around and put the tail on the outside. Pull it nice and tight and put a square knot there. And this does bunch up that last row, so the pattern does look a little distorted, but for strength, I think that this is the best solution I came up with. Okay, each of these are wrapped now, and the tails from the wrapped portion do not go up to the ring, only the ones that went through the hole go to the ring. So these need to be secured off so that we can hide the tail. And to make that happen, I just lay it along one of the cording from down below. So we have the 4 laying on the 2. And take roughly, I don't know, 15, 20-inch piece of string and just make like a noose. So we're going to lay it down, loop it back up, take the end and go around all of the cords, including the one that you just looped. Let's go one more. Okay, and so here is the loop. We're just going to feed the cord through there, take the end that you started with, and draw up and hide your tail, and snip off. And on this, always just be careful that you're not snipping down below. That could make a person cry. So we're going to just snip. It looks like there's one more. Okay, so that is what that section looks like, and it's nice and tight. So wrap a noose around each of those. Next step is attaching the ring on the new finished end. And if you remember, on the other end, it is 22.5 inches from here to the ring. So we're going to duplicate that. So lay out your string nice and flat, put it through the ring, and do one step of the square knot so that we can adjust it. So go nice and loose with one step there. Get a measuring tape. And we're at 22.5. Tighten that up. Do the second side of the square knot. And nice and tight. And then double check your measurement. Yep, right at 22.5. So I'm going to do 22.5 on the other side as well. Okay, feed them through. Do one step of the square knot. Measure, it's a little long, so we're going to tighten that down. There, that looks good. Now continue with alternating sides. I like going this side and back and forth and bring them to the center so that these are all nice and even. Okay, super cool. We are on the very last step. So we have all of the cords that went through the hole are fed through the center here. The middle ones that wrap around have the noose on them. Now we need to hide these. So what I figured out that works is I'm taking about, a 10 to 12 foot piece of cord, and I'm going to weave it back and forth through this, catching all of the tails. Then we'll cut off the tails and they'll be hidden in the weaving. Fold the cord in half. And this is, I'm not going to deny, it is a little cumbersome. So here's one section. Put one side of the cord on each of that section. And the fold is here then. Twist it so now the bottom goes on below the next section. And the top will come on the top. We twist it one more time. Now this one goes onto the bottom of the next section. And the top will go there. Twist and continue all the way around. Okay, there's round one. It doesn't look like much yet, but don't worry. Go ahead and keep everything nice and even. Pull down your cords. And pull the one that you are weaving up to the center. Okay, so now we twist it again and go back the other direction. So this one was on the bottom and it's going to come across the top, and we're just going to weave back. So now this one will go on the underside and it comes on the top, twist, and continue. Okay, pull that row tight. And continue probably for another 3 or so rows. Okay, hopefully you can see this is just a lot of cords here, but these ones have been weaving back and forth, and this is the remaining portion of that. So just take your floral wire again and feed each of the ends up into your weaving. Find the other end and weave it, pull it up through the weaving as well. So now you can take scissors and trim off those tails from the weaving that we just did, and all of these here can be trimmed as well. So I'm going to go ahead and trim these, and we repeat the same thing on this end. This is the beginning end, and there's no tails to weave in. It's more of a match the two ends so they look alike, but also by weaving here, these are less apt to get caught on things. So I'm going to weave back and forth just about an inch on this end, and then we will be done. Okay, so there is your finished hammock. Honest to pieces, this thing has been made and torn apart until I came up with this design. And we did successfully make 3 of these for our kids for Christmas. They look fantastic. And this is the stand that Ross made to hang them, the hammocks on. So the link for how to make the hammock stand is down below. So if you have any questions, or if you have any suggestions on how to improve this design, please comment down below. But as always, thank you so very much for watching DIY on the House.